And the water's coming down.
My worst one ever is I had to go someplace, and my Garmin started taking me up, and there was less and less structures. The road suddenly got no longer paved, it was just dirt and rock. And I'm going all the way to the top, and it says, stop, look out for trucks. And all of a sudden, zoom, like a 50-ton truck zoomed by. It was like right in the middle of a coal mine, surface coal mine. So I started going down the hill. You know, again, it's all rocky and muddy and stuff like that, and all of a sudden I see a fire hydrant, then I see the pavement, then I see houses, and I can't put single things.
He's ready whenever.
What are we doing?
Chief,
I'm gonna open the meeting right
it's an
now.
organization meeting.
Yeah,
Are we gonna pledge? Or are we gonna-
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
So happy New Year and welcome to this January 2nd, 2024 reorganization meeting for the Borough of St. Lawrence. As the mayor of the Borough of St. Lawrence, I will call this meeting to order and we can now stand for the I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call. Robert May, Michael Fred,
Here.
Greg Zawilla,
Here.
Allison Linebaugh,
Here.
Derek Rhodes,
Here.
David Eggert,
Here.
Steve Geibel,
Here.
Corey Zana, Pam Stevens is not here, Amanda Musso,
Here.
D. Michael Benetham, Warren Lubenow,
Here.
and Joan London. Okay, we will now proceed with nominations for office president. And we will also be doing vice president. So at this time, we will accept any nominations from the council for president. Are there any nominations?
Nominate Robert May.
Second.
Okay. Robert May, what say you?
I accept the nomination.
Okay. And, okay, so any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll consider the nominations for president closed. And I'll make a motion to appoint Robert May as council president of the St. Lawrence Borough. Do I do all in favor or roll call? You do all. Because
You need a second.
you did,
No, I seconded his nomination, but you made a motion to have,
okay,
it should be, you make a motion to have the secretary cast a lone ballot for the
okay,
office of president.
okay,
So I'll second that,
okay.
and now you call that to a vote. And
Okay.
that doesn't have to be a roll call vote. that
Okay,
could just
so
be a
now we
voice
have a
vote.
vote on that, all in favor,
Aye.
okay. All right, so moved. We're done with that?
I would like to make a motion to nominate Mr. David Eggert as vice president of the Borough of St. Lawrence Council.
Second.
I'll accept. Thank you.
Any other nominations, vice president? Okay, hearing no others, nominations for vice president are considered closed. I will make a motion to appoint David Eggert.
I second. Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
But you know.
No more mayor.
2 more years. 2 more years, you can do it again.
I'll open our, January meeting. Huh? Election of, what?
Now, you got the resolution for all the.
Appointments, motion to approve, resolution 887-2024 borough appointments for 2023. So I'm gonna read the attached list so we could vote for them all at the same time, if that's okay with everyone. If not, please speak up. Appointment of Borough Manager Treasurer Allison Lombard for 1 year. Appointment of Chief Administrative Officer Allison Lombard for 1 year. Appointment of Borough Secretary Amanda Musso for 1 year. Appointment of Assistant Borough Secretary Susan Egger for 1 year. Appointment of Borough Solicitor Kozloff Staff for 1 year. Appointment of Borough General Engineer Systems Design Engineering 1 year. Appointment of Borough Traffic Engineer Traffic Planning and Design 1 year. Appointment of Borough Sewer Engineer Spot Stevens McCoy SSM 1 year. Appointment of a Building Code Official Richard Golzowski. UCC Permit Inspections State Inspection Authority, which of course is Richard Golzowski. Appointment of Borough Zoning Officer Allison Leinbach 1 year. Appointment of Borough Assistant Zoning Officer. At this point, we usually name every employee as a borough, so it would be Derek Rhodes, Amanda Musso, SDE. We're not going to appoint State Inspection Authority at this time. Lynn Leinbach and Jen Ulrich, all for 1 year. Appointment of Borough Local Ordinance/Code Enforcement Officer Allison Leinbach for 1 year. Appointment of Borough Assistant Local Code Enforcement Officer Lynn Leinbach, Amanda Musso, Derek Rhodes, SDE. No, we're not going to appoint State Inspection Authority at this time, and Jen Ulrich for 1 year each. Appointment of official banks of depository, Hopkins, PLGIT, and Mid-Penn Bank. Appointment of a borough auditor, Barbicane and Thornton. Appointment of open records officer, Allison Leinbach. Appointment of floodplain administrator, Allison Leinbach, and appointment of recreation director, Susan Eggert for 1 year. Are there any other additions or questions?
Make a motion to approve resolution 887-2024 for the borough appointments as read.
Second. Motion been moved and seconded. All those in favor for resolution 887-2024 borough appointments for 2024, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn our reorganization meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion been moved and seconded to adjourn reorganization meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. I'll call to order our regular St. Lawrence Borough Council meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Again.
One sheet of it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For you, we'll have a roll call. Once again, Robert May is here, Michael Fritz is here, Reggie Wall is here, Allison Leinbach's here, Derek Rhodes is here, Dave Edmonds here, Steve Geibel's here. Corey Azana and Mayor is here, Pam Stevens is not here, Borough Engineer, Amanda Musso, Borough Secretary is here, D. Michael Benetham is here, Warren Lubenow is here, Joan Lynn Esquire, Borough Solicitor is not here.
And Susan Eggert, Assistant
And
Secretary.
Susan Eggert, Assistant Borough Secretary, is in attendance. Council minutes, before you, in your package, you have a motion to approve the December 14th, 2023 Borough Council meeting minutes. Is there any corrections, clarifications, additions, or can the minutes be accepted as presented?
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second. Those have been moved and seconded to approve the December 14th minutes as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passed. The next item, approval and payment of bills. What we're doing is looking for a payable report as of December 31st, 2023. In there, you'll see payment from the general fund of $38,664.71, and from the sewer fund, $147.81. Is there a motion to approve and pay the bills as presented?
So,
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded to pay the bills. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion passes. Approval of treasurer's report. Motion, so we have fund balances as of December 31st. Our general fund has $463,086.61. Our reserve account of $126,724.86. Fire tax fund, $1,731.55. Sewer fund is $159,646.67. Liquid fuels is $251,147.65. And the Public Works Garage grant account has $409,970.71.
I should accept the treasurer's report as presented, file for audit.
Second. Motion been moved and seconded to accept and file for audit consolidated treasurer's report and Public Works Garage grant treasurer's report. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. Motion passes. Public comment, if any, none received, none, no one here in person, we'll move on. But we reserve the right to go back in case someone does pose a question or wants to comment. Consultant report, borough engineer, she submit one?
She did it to the book.
Like there's anything,
Nothing was moving forward on any of that anyway, I believe. So we'll move on, we'll accept, borough solicitor, did she send us anything?
no.
Great. That wasn't meant that way. Borough mayor's report, any report, mayor?
I have nothing.
No marriages, nothing like that going on?
No, nothing going on.
You get to work. Department staff report, borough zoning, code enforcement officers report. Any report?
Yeah, there's a couple of code enforcements that need to be, formally written up and sent, you know. One is, a conversion of space that's not allowed, and the other is a violation of a building permit. So, yeah, those are, as soon as we got through this, that's the next stuff on the agenda to take care of my agenda.
You want this now?
That's coming up
Okay.
later.
I'm not sure if this is the proper area on the agenda to discuss this. The dance and humble group that within
Down there, okay.
those stipulations that were handed out with the approval. Is there a time limit on it? Is that something, is it the honor system that they're gonna take care of? So they have updated the lighting on the west side.
They haven't,
You know, they have.
they have.
Yeah.
Scott Landis got in there and did repairs to any of the light fixtures at
Put a
present.
nice LED light on the west side that shines out toward the bridge, if you will.
Okay.
I'm just curious, and when I drove by the other day, they were there.
The parking spaces are painted, I did.
Yeah, I thought, I wasn't sure.
He
Yeah, they're all
followed, he
painted.
followed the previous plan. I would suggest we probably have some issues on the inside. Rick has to get in there. It's a question of timing, but it looks like some work was done.
It looks like they didn't waste any time.
No.
It wasn't in
But
the
they
town
didn't
center.
have they didn't have permits in place to do what they demoed, and commercial, you need a demolition permit. You can't just demo.
They or he.
They,
um,
what they did internally there, so they have not
So yeah, they would do that.
fully, well, I don't know what their lease says with him, whether they're doing leasehold, I have no clue, so.
We'll ask state inspection to provide an update for the next meeting in
He
February.
is-
How's that?
He is trying to time it to get there when
They're
there's
there.
somebody there that he can. And,
Either there.
yes, and so he,
But I think he wants to be there when there's workers there too, or, you know.
so, yeah, that is on his radar.
Now, if I remember the hearing that we had here, there was a lot of discussion, and when we approved it, they asked the question, something to the effect of, can we now go ahead and start working on it before the end of the year? And the answer kind of was yes.
Yeah.
Well,
With permits, I think.
Well,
was their-
But they-
well, and that's the point.
Yeah,
they had to follow what was, what they agreed to, which in part of the conditional use was to get all their permits
Yeah.
in place. And so, yes, and he is trying to get there when there is somebody that he can talk to. I think he ended up looking in the door the other day, and it's one of those things where it's trying to catch them.
They got it on camera.
We'll move on, public safety, EMC.
We do need, remember in December, we approved a 30-day extension, which will expire on the 13th of this month. So I make a motion that we extend the emergency declaration another 30 days, starting January 13th. Due to the rain event, July 9th, so ongoing assistance.
Is there a second? Second. Motion been moved and seconded to approve an ongoing declaration of disaster emergency caused by the rain event on July 9th, 2023, effective January 13th to run for 30 days. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. Passes. Public Works, Roadmaster.
My report is attached in the packet, not much to note, although Exeter did agree that they would work a deal out with us to get brine from them, so the mountain system is down. So we get brine from the Exeter.
Oh, so we're just gonna say we've got so many loads at 500 gallons or whatever the
Yeah.
total is.
Well, our total is 275, each time we fill up, it just,
We'll just note to them and then we'll reimburse them.
yeah, I'm sure we'll probably be able to do like a salt exchange, just drop off material for what we use.
Sounds good.
How salt do you think that would be?
Less than 5 tons.
What would it cost to get your own brine system? Making up another, small poly, make up brine?
The thing that does stink with that is you only have so much capacity in something that makes, it, then you have to store it, and then you have to have storage, precautions and all that, so. If Exeter has it, and they're willing to give it, I'm fine with that.
Does Lower also use Mount Pens also?
They don't have a brine system there, I don't think, no.
Got it.
And they said they can make their system, hold 2,000 gallon batch unit. They have a very nice system.
I would say take the deal.
Anything else?
That's everything.
Finance. Need a motion to authorize council president or the borough treasurer to sign the certification of unpaid 2023 real estate tax bills to Berks County tax claim and 2023 fire taxes to the borough office.
I'm still working on closing it out, but I only have 3 unpaid tax bills.
Totaling less than what, a couple $100?
It's
500?
0.4% of.
It's like 0.4% of the duplicate, so it can't be more than 5,000, but it's not more than, it's probably not more than 3,000.
Gotcha.
But I'm still waiting to see with the way our wonderful postal system is, because actually the ones that haven't paid are rental properties, which is very odd that they haven't paid. So I'm still thinking I might get at least one of those in the mail.
And the county wants this by the sign off close out.
Gotcha.
They still haven't sent me the directions on it, so I'm not worried until I get those directions, so. But it's not very many bills unpaid.
I'll make a motion to authorize council president or the treasurer to sign the certification of unpaid 2023 real estate tax bills to Berks County tax claim and the 2023 unpaid fire taxes to the borough office.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to authorize for the unpaid tax bills of Berks County tax claim and to the borough office, the fire taxes to the borough office. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. And Public Works, any news? Nope. I got news. Good. So I went over to AVA's board meeting on the third Thursday. And I sat through the first hour listening to them talk about their I&I and their problems and refinancing and what else was their issue? Cyber hacking, even though their system's not on any network, they're all concerned about cyber hacking on their Wi-Fi system. So, but then I sort of introduced myself, explained, hey, I'm over here just to sort of get a feel on everything. And and it sort of came down to, they said I was probably the first person to really come over and talk to them about any of these details. So I sort of gave them what our viewpoint was and stuff like that. And they were adamant that they would have final say over like the building, and we'd have to submit complete plans like it was zoning and things like that to them for their solicitor, for their engineer to review. And I said, well, that's great, but what's that cost? Is it gonna be $5,000? Is it gonna be $10,000? I need to go back to council to work this into a budget. And they go, well, we can't tell if you send over some really bad plans, and it'll just cost more to review. And I said, well, no disrespect to H. David Miller, but I'm a professional engineer and we have a very good borough professional engineer, and you're not gonna get a set of plans that need much review. And they go, well, we still can't cut it. And I go, well, our concept was, we sort of like to do what we want to do without you guys overshadowing all this, because it just drives our costs up. And they go, well, we didn't have that great of experience with the Central Berks building. In fact, it was almost all built before we even had the lease signed for the property. So that's their perspective. So I said at one point, I said, well, what about this? They almost inferred at one point they wanted, that they wanted approval of like the color and design, because like in 20 years, the lease would be up, and worst case scenario, the building would be theirs if something went wrong. And then they wanted things written into the agreement, like if anything happened to the building, like piece of equipment ran in the side, we'd have to get it repaired within so many days. They don't want an eyesore there on their property and stuff like that. So I said, well, we want to pay for all this duplicate stuff. It was our impression that it was sort of a done deal. You guys had already said. They go, nope, that's not the case. I said, well, let's make life easier then. Sell me that piece of property. No. Said, can you waive any fees? No. What about even the tie into the sewer? No, you're gonna have to pay the tap-in fee. I said, well, can you refund the tap-in fee once we pay it? No. So that's their general position. And I have a really, I don't know. They had no spirit of cooperation. I think they are severely revenue constricted. They don't want any soft costs whatsoever for the building borne by them. But they don't want to cap, whatever those soft spots either. And I go, it all has to go through Exeter for building permits and everything. I don't understand what your review process is. What's our land? Yeah, I go, then sell us the land. No. So I don't know.
Renegotiate a lease in 20
Yeah,
years.
and I go, well, why can't we make the lease longer than 20 years? And they go, well, there's some sort of thing that can only be 19 years and 99, 0.99 weeks or something. And I go, I don't know where that's coming from, but I'm not going. And so, it was almost like if you're in the wolf's den and they were salivating that they're going to get a building in 20 years. That was sort of, an offhanded view how I took it. I was really disappointed that they wouldn't even, waive a $200 tap-in fee.
Yeah.
And is that the type of people you want to be in as a landlord, is really what I'm asking the rest of the council. So I opened it up for discussion, but I'm no longer a fan of moving the building over there at anything, So I'm more of a fan of the buildings out be in St. Lawrence on property we already own, and we'll hand the money back and just take our lumps.
Well, you summed it up because.
Or let's state representative come in here and yell at us some more.
It was, in a lot of different sentences, it was, I believe, my impression was that the representatives from Mount Penn made it sound like that would have been the easy part.
Well, they kept asking me, so what's your agreement with Mount Penn?
There's something going on because when we met here that night, I didn't go 2 days without getting some feedback from over there. It has stopped. It stopped abruptly. The time that I asked Pamela for the results of the borings, it just stopped. It quit.
They also said they wanted some sort of surety that, if we started building it and the funds ran out, that, the building was gonna get completed and all this, that, because they want an eyesore on their property. Sure. And I go, that's not my concern. And they go, that's our concern. I said, I don't need this grant to build this building. We have enough money right now in our general, in capital that we could build the building ourselves. I said, I don't really think we need a building for a 550 snowplow and a 350 pickup truck. I'm over here trying to, move forward this concept Mount Penn has, and we're trying to be good, intergovernment agencies, but, they don't have it.
When was the last time you met with Mount Penn?
When was that?
That was back in November.
Thanksgiving.
And that's what they kept saying. They go,
before the last council meeting.
Well, I think what might have changed, Troy Goodman's not on that board anymore.
yeah, it's true. He was not there.
Well, he used to be on the board.
the form of communication. He was early on,
Yeah,
and then it went to Okonski. And actually, at the time, he told me that he appealed for more funds. The size of the building got bigger. I said, hold on to your horse straps here for a second. Because I guess I believe in building to a budget, not the other way around. And obviously, we haven't heard anything about any big funds. And but it was right around that time that, and then it was like 3 weeks after Pamela asked for the rest of the report. I asked him. And I asked him again, and then I asked him again, and that's when I got the rebuke about, well, it's probably buried in some of the boxes somewhere, and there was not time to look for them. And that was it.
So here's two other issues came up, and I said, listen, you're not really on board with a true concept yet, even on council. I said, I got people on council saying, we don't need soil borings, you know, and others are pushing for that. They go, we wouldn't let you build without soil borings. So they mentioned that. So then they also mentioned, well, why aren't you talking about Penn about this? I go, I can't talk to Mount Penn about any amount of money until we understand what this other is. I says, and we're fronting all this, and we're gonna wrap it back into like a 20-year lease. So I said, so that's why it's so important for me to get understanding how much it's gonna cost with you guys before we can even go talk to Mount Penn. I said, I know internally, we counted on spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month to rent that, but I'm pretty sure when Mount Penn was gonna be the owner of the grant, they weren't counting on $36,000 a year going out the door for this garage. So I said, so, you know, that all has to get wrapped into it. And I said, you know, we probably have separate insurance. We'd have insurance for our equipment. They'd have insurance for them. St. Lawrence is the owner of the buildings. They have insurance on the building. In case like some, you know, sales guy comes in and he trips over something, there's, you know, that, you know, yeah, we make you have all your own insurance, you know. So, you know, they weren't misaligned. They were just not helpful.
What is AVMA made up of? Who are these individuals?
What's the St. It's Lower Alsace and Mount Penn is their service area. And here,
That's their municipal sponsors.
right,
And they're appointed by either
the governing board.
governing board of.
It was like 3 for Mount Penn and 2 for Lower Alsace, I think. But they did mention here, which was very interesting. So 2 Sundays prior to my visit there, had a big rainstorm on Sunday, a lot of rain.
Yeah, correct.
So their normal throughput's 800,000 gallons a day. They had over 3 million that day. That's unbelievable amount of iodine.
not sure, that is huge.
Right, and iodine drives all your costs. I mean, your throughput drives your costs. More chemicals, more this, more that, plus it exceeds your permit level. I mean, it's just, that's why you have to look at iodine.
Yeah, they couldn't have put the chemicals in to treat that.
Nowhere near. I'm not saying that.
It was polluted enough that they didn't have to worry about it.
That's probably true.
But in the hour of the meeting beforehand, there was not one word about how much money we're gonna spend on I&I, where we're looking. They thought they had a break in the line somewhere, but they found it and they closed it back up. I don't know if they repaired it or not. So, you know, it's just a different concept, I think, when you are not revenue blessed. So at one point they were gonna raise rates and they go, well, how much is the average bill? So they went to the secretary or the scribe and she goes, I don't know. And I thought, you know, that's where you really have to start. You gotta know how much your clients are paying. And I mentioned, I said, well, here's how last time we raised rates, we have this bell curve. We plotted everybody, how much everybody uses. You have the low end, you have the high end, you cut the ends off, the tails off. You got this middle part, you raise your rates, you see how much it's gonna affect everybody. Then you know people are gonna conserve, it's gonna be less. So I mean, you can do a pretty good job of finding out what your rate increase is gonna impact, how many people and their usage. And they just sort of stared back at me like I was speaking another language, like hillbilly talk or something.
I went to hire
So anyway, I'm just giving you the, you know, I was there about 45 minutes. I think I begged, I politely pleaded, and you know, they're just not there. They're not, and I don't think they're ever there. So,
Well, certainly, my impression when we were in the meetings with Mount Penn was
was it a done deal?
that it was.
I use
there
the
was gonna
term
be no,
Done deal.
that
They go,
there'd be
nope.
no problem.
Yeah, nope.
I just know I've worked with the AVMA board before. I have a lot of respect for them, and they're intelligent people, and I don't think what they were saying was totally against us. But look at their property, and they've had other
Entities.
Okay, thank you. On their property that did not work out very well for them. Things were said and it was right and, there was more money being paid out than what was originally, but things that got done were not done the right way. And maybe that put a sour taste in their mouth. I don't think they have a sour taste with St. Lawrence.
Right. And I even said, we have a history with our Exeter agreement, which did us wrong in the end. So we're very centered on having a good agreement that protects citizens down the road from us. Now that we have that experience under our belt. But, so,
One of the additional expenses with this is that probably most definitely would incur conflicts counsel on both ends.
Yeah.
Since the attorneys for AGMA and us come out of the same law firm. So that adds
so
a
some-
layer of expense.
yeah, and at some point we would, and I sort of mentioned that to Joan, about 2 months ago. So anyway, I open the floor for, where do we want to head, guys?
Plan B.
Plan B.
What do y'all think?
Plan B.
A, you want to give it back and just forget this headache? B, you want to try to fit it somewhere that the borough already owns?
Yeah.
I'm kind of with,
Came out.
kind of with the mayor on this, if we have, because we have the money in hand.
Mhm.
And it would benefit us in addition to Mount Penn, and if we we can make it work for both of us, I think.
We need it.
But it won't really cost us much to take a look at our options in the borough.
I also said, right now, we're probably the more financially stable than the other parties.
Yeah.
And I said, so we don't see it as something, but I said, what happens in 3 years from now, whoever we're partnered with just decides not to pay us for a couple months. What are we gonna do? Throw their equipment out, evict them? We're gonna let them go, what we're gonna do? And they go, well, you better talk to them about that. I go, no, we'll just continue using it. We're able to absorb this whole thing on ourselves with or without them. And we're trying, but the location was the concept we tried to move forward, so.
So do we have any places here?
Yeah, the places, what,
Parking lot.
We have that big, whose barn is
That's
Oh,
all
that's-
What footprint do you need?
Either 60 by 88 or 60 by 100, if you go by the old.
Yeah.
That's a big
60
building,
by-
but-
That's a building.
What's
Yeah,
the,
that's the building.
Probably
Parking.
400 by 400 area. I mean,
Football,
that's-
football field.
Yeah, I say football, that's a good guess. And we have an open area down there on Lynn Avenue, as we talked about before, the only downside is that's a residential heavy area. We have an area at the playground that could be utilized on either the tennis court that's kind of failing at this point. Or if you wanted to restructure the garden area with the bathhouse there, that's older.
You don't have the
the
foot.
Bob's one,
You don't have the footprint there for that, no.
I'll be dead soon. I won't be seeing it.
my?
Let's not be in the apartments looking down.
I don't know anything about construction, but could we open up the bottom of this building? And I don't know what's under here, over there, but there are plenty of rooms you could move around.
the basement's not viable for this, we don't have enough height down there.
I'm just
Yeah,
dreaming.
no, that's fine, I'm just saying, that's really not, we don't have the height.
Well, the 400 by 400 parcel, that really. And.
Well, that's if you're really maximizing like a parking area, the building itself.
The building itself is 80 by
There
20.
are rules.
The building by itself would be 60 by 88. That's the footprint, give or take.
Yeah.
And then if you want like an area in front of each bay, if you want to look down the road, if there's ever a salt shed there, stuff like that. But you want to limit yourself now, stick it into a tight confined area and then not have something down the road.
Well,
Top of
So-
Adams Street.
well, yeah, the advantage, if you're at the top of Adams Street, the advantage is you're coming downhill.
Yeah, easy.
It's easy out and you start clearing, right there.
So we gotta get up there. We take on this endeavor alone. This is hypothetical. And we offer space to Mount Penn for a price. And they just
Don't wanna join.
don't wanna join. Can we support this on our own?
That big of a building?
We don't need it. Anything that we, you know, this undertaking, when it's complete, if it's just the borough and its equipment, its employees, is this something that we can financially shoulder ourselves moving forward? Utilities, upkeep,
I thought we wouldn't start building until we have an agreement.
no, if we don't have an agreement with the other side of the fence. And we decide to keep the money, build on one of our own parcels. And we inform Mount Penn that we're doing so. And at whatever point in time, it's ready to move in and they decide, you know what, thanks, but no thanks.
Are there any conditions on the money that says it's, being given to us for a joint municipal building?
Are there earmarks to it?
I don't think there's any word joint in that.
There,
No,
I
the
just
initial one.
Yeah,
want to make sure
yeah.
we're not violating the conditions of the
Well,
grant.
they gotta take the money back.
well, if we offer and they don't want to, we've tried.
Well, they can say I do up until the time to move in and say, sorry.
I'll say that one, I would say we've done our due diligence of getting it.
Right.
Exactly.
I think that I agree, we build to a budget, and if they don't like what's being offered, because my belief always was that we were going to have to come up with all the upfront costs. And our recoup from anything is in whatever we charge them monthly to be there. And that if there was ever a default at whatever length of time council decided was enough, that they would be locked out and they get to remove their equipment, and it would be something we needed to be able to support on our own.
Right, you said like the upfront money, if we are not able to recoup that. And it's probably gonna be a nice piece of,
But there's also not gonna be the expense of having them in the locale.
detrimental to the budget.
Well, we have capital reserve, it's just a matter that we decided we built the garage, not when we wanted and how we wanted.
I think that we need to be realistic on the size of the building that is being put in.
The only thing I would say is if we don't build it at AIM, we would chop off some costs, for instance, the intergovernment agreements with AIMA. If we build it here, we'd be under our own rules for zoning review and engineering review. You want to double that cost, the cost with Exeter, if they charge any of that out, which that was in the original budget for the building.
It was,
You know, see, we spend $2,000 to $3,000 a month right now renting space. So that's the number I keep throwing around, you know.
And so I think your original question, could we support it on our own? I would say yes, because we already rent the space now, that's not energy efficient. I don't foresee the building, I mean, yeah, we would be in there, but we won't be living in it. So I don't see the cost of being in the building much more than $1,200 a month. And the
that's
most,
what we're paying now, right?
I'd say the most expensive time would be,
We're not paying the full board because we never got.
say we're at 600 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but we have a budget for it. So it's in our budget to take on.
All right, so how long do we dangle this carrot?
Well, I'm down to the two things, to build or not to build, that's the question.
That is the question. Well, I think before we can make that decision, do we want to take a look at our options? I think the open space down on Lynn would be,
That's probably the easiest.
that's the easiest.
I would say
Gas.
That's our property?
It's out.
Yeah, it's our property.
Yeah, it's our property.
It's,
a little bit more site work in there, but.
Yeah. and if
Nothing
we
crazy.
can build down there.
I think
It's not
there's-
residential, you know. it's-
That's the only thing, I'm not 100% sure what the deed lease or the deed on that is, if there is any restrictions on it. I don't know any of that information.
But our other option, if we try to build a playground, either the tennis court end or the
Garden.
gardens, there's a lot more site work there than down on Lynn.
And you're gonna have a lot of zoning issues too.
Yes.
Yeah, but we didn't waive all those.
So it's very, it's not conditional use.
I know.
Then you take.
But we can make the argument, it's municipal, it's zoned for municipal use, and this is municipal use.
Yeah, then you take the day-to-day operations with the equipment and stuff, you get it on the property, the playground, and the kids, and
Well, the other issue too is that you're starting to eat up very little recreational space that we have, and if there's no room to expand, you could
Right.
squeeze a building in there, but maybe not, that's the best.
Right, and
solution.
yeah, and I think that's,
And
you know, I think.
I think we should try to build 4 or 5 bays as much as possible for potential down the road. Cause it'll be cheaper now to build than ever again. You know,
I would say we explore Lynn Avenue, what do we need to do to
Yeah. I think Orland Avenue
put
and
a scope together and maybe put
Should
it.
we-
so
Should we also have a meeting with the Mount Penn people and just say, hey, based upon what you said,
yeah.
you
We're-
come and share your.
we're pulling the plug on it.
Listen, I didn't want to, you guys seem to be better negotiators with Mount Penn.
Well,
Well, I don't know about that,
we weren't in the meeting, we can't talk firsthand of what the discussion you had, and with that level of non-cooperation. We do not feel that building it up there,
If you were revenue driven and someone offered to buy a parcel from you so they could use,
Yeah.
why would you take that offer? But they were blatantly no.
well, they may just be naysayers, on any given issue.
Well,
So does Mount Penn have any more leverage on?
that's
Yeah,
why I say we ought to.
Well, at this point, even if Mount Penn, I
So-
just think that we're going down a bad road there. Because it doesn't sound like Avery's gonna be.
Oh, they're not, but I would do it up front with
Yeah,
Mount Penn. But one thing I don't wanna do is just destroy
right.
cooperation.
Well, no, and I don't either, but at this point, I don't think Mount Penn is necessarily in a position to. I don't think they're gonna have any heartburn if the building's over here on Lynn. Because they're still gonna be able to rent space in a building for their equipment. And I don't think, I think it's gonna be like, well, we really would have liked to have it at Avery because it's a lot closer to Borough. But if there's all these issues,
I say, I think the big thing that I'm intrigued here is that Avon's shooting themselves in the foot on a couple of different fronts. So the original the big deal was gonna be that Avon could retain the building that's inside their fence now. And if they're being, unreasonable to work with, Mount Penn's not gonna give up that building now. So
Like-
they're-
Well.
One of the things the solicitor said, well, you're not allowed to store any dangerous or chemicals and stuff like that in the building. I go, whoa, time out. Chemicals, that's what trucks use. They use oil, they use antifreeze, there's got to be some relaxation on that. Oh, yeah, you go,
you're in a sewer plant with all kinds of chemicals.
I know.
So do we take the lead on this and say, based on the outcome of your presence at that meeting, we have decided. So,
Yeah, I think we should, let Mount Penn know, ahead of time. Look, this is based on feedback that we got from our council president at Ava's meeting. We're not gonna proceed, we do not feel it's good to proceed at that location. We have land in our borough that we don't have to have an agreement with anyone for. The only agreement we'd have to come up with then is the intergovernmental agreement with Mount Penn, or basically a lease.
And for clarification, I presented myself as a council member of St. Lawrence, that there was other two talking about Penn. I didn't know all the details about that. I wanted to make sure someone had talked to them about it.
it was very on the generic side. We talked more about the plans,
Yeah,
Yes.
but they led us to believe that. Avon might possibly be the easy.
I think that was when Troy was on that board yet, since he's not there anymore, I think that.
Who's that?
Troy was there.
Yeah.
He was on Avon's board.
He was-
Yeah.
Avon's board.
He was one of the pushers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of being a revenue dump, if they're gonna want this, and this.
Yeah.
And
And
That's- and that's the goal, guaranteed.
all the engineering, all that, no, we are like Bob said, he's a professional engineer, Hal is a professional engineer. Seriously?
Yeah.
And all this has to go through Exeter anyway, would have had to go through Exeter anyway.
they even mentioned that they probably have to have a structural engineer review of the building too. And I go, whoa, so we're gonna give you signed plans by a professional engineer saying it's structurally okay, and you're gonna have someone from Entech that's gonna look at it also?
stamp set of drawings doesn't mean anything.
You're right, that's,
Yeah.
but I didn't,
That's unheard of.
at this point in time, I was, every So maybe we can ask, Roadmaster, can you give us like an aerial drawing of Lynn property? Like where it could be situated,
So I can give you the
you know,
layout.
like how much road would have to be built to get to it, or the apron? Yes, sort of like that, you know,
We got a sewer line running right through there.
tap it for free.
When you get to a low point there, where you turn right people into Beaver's property,
Yeah,
if you go a little farther towards Hunter's Run, it seems to incline a little bit. And it seems like there's a little, like a higher knob there on the land.
so I'll tell you, this is from Mr. Beaver himself, when Farina built that, there's a large knob of dirt there.
Yeah.
That's apparently all the cutting material they did when they built the house, they just left it there.
It gets you out of the low end of the land.
Yeah.
But how close is that to exit the contour? You're getting close to the line.
I mean, that line's, there's a little, there used to be a hump in the road there,
Oh, yeah.
that's the line essentially, right where that channel comes across is the Exeter Borough line.
So from general discussion, it's sort of like, let's get some more information on Lynn Avenue, if we place it there. You guys will go back to Mount Penn, but they're not getting, you're gonna have to call them up and meet with them, yeah. But right now, we don't see a real good path to Ava. If they have a resurrection Hail Mary path to Ava, let them go for it, you know?
We did not feel as though we got the right type of support.
I mean, I can call him, I can email him.
Yeah.
Say, you know,
Let's
council made a decision based on
Right.
the information received.
Well, I just kept saying, ka-ching, talking to him.
Yeah,
I think they were saying, to you, we don't want you to build it here, but they were doing some passive aggressive.
yeah, that's kind of the feeling I got.
Is that how the church does things?
Well, except for the Crusades.
What was their heartburn with the Central Virgin?
They said that it was started being built prior to them having the lease solidified. That the building was essentially complete before their lease went up. And then they had to
They
come
go
back.
past it every day.
Yeah, why'd they let that go?
Because those guys have badges and guns.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You know,
If them for building your property, I think it would be a police.
What's running, you think?
You would think.
it's just not a done deal there. Maybe it can get resurrected. You know,
Do we give them an opportunity?
well, you know, then they kept saying, why aren't you talking to Mount Penn? I go, two other guys are talking about Penn, you know, it's not my position.
But it all starts right there.
Right, and I said, but we still need to know how much it's gonna cost here, because our plan is to front all the upfront costs and get it back.
And that should be the objective. That's part of building to the budget.
Yes.
If our costs are that much less because of. Maybe that's the road we ought to be going on, especially now that we've heard
Yeah,
what they're saying.
I don't know that I feel, you know, I don't know if we give up Mount Penn the opportunity to take a run at Avon, because until there's actually something in place, and then we still have to pay somebody to write up an agreement.
Right, you have three, or, you know,
And the way
you
it's-
build it here, you're talking about two institutions.
Yeah. We build a
Well,
plan.
you have three.
Yeah.
And that was one thing they mentioned,
Or four with
they said maybe this agreement should be between Mount Penn, St. Lawrence and Ava. I go, no. I said, we own the grant, we own the building, the agreement's between us and you.
Pretty much council, I think, comes up with the agreement with Mount Penn, and if they don't like it, they don't have to sign it.
Right.
But I think that we're not that hard to get along with, but there's gotta be rules of.
Oh, sure.
And it would surprise me if we went further down with Ava, they would want some sort of input on the agreement with Mount Penn also, which I don't think is required, but probably what one of their wants. Or, you know, and they're the controlling person, they got the property.
So we send them a formal letter.
So
The Borough of St. Lawrence, do we send them?
I think you guys should go over and talk to whoever you talked to before and just feel them out.
You know, just try to get.
I mean, wait, is our mind made up that we're now gonna pursue Lynn? And
As
if,
far as I'm concerned, yeah.
okay, and
You know,
Right.
I can't speak for the rest of it.
Get out of Ava.
I never liked partnering with the people I know. I didn't, yeah, I mean, it sounds good up front, and then one
Yeah,
person
but still.
changes and another person, and then suddenly. So you haven't heard us, if Raji came up with another 50,000,
I haven't heard
whatever
it.
the number that was gonna be.
it's
Yeah,
been
well-
6 or 7 weeks since I've heard anything.
I would probably say that he hasn't, because I'm pretty sure that
Oh, yeah.
one of us would have received a phone call from
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Konsky
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
going, hey, I got the extra money.
yeah.
I haven't heard anything for 6 or 7 weeks, and I wasn't going 2 days.
Yeah.
Without a text message or something, and it went like, and, yeah.
You think, Dave up or down, Rev?
I'm not in favor of, because I'm, like you said, that's not just Avon, then it affects your township in the mix too, because.
The voting and everything, right? Yeah.
So I make it as simple as
Yeah.
possible.
Less headaches on our property.
I also understand that the base of Lynn Avenue is at a high density or higher density residential development. But we're not talking about warehouse with trucks coming and going all day. This will be less busy than the school bus barn over by a really high priced residential
Right.
development over there. So I don't think it's.
I agree.
Well, most of the residential that is over in Exeter anyway.
Well, no, they become.
On this side, or on the far side, it's all Exeter.
Yeah, right, on the other side.
If you wanna kick the dancers out, we can go down there.
So,
Well, they could go like over the truck.
I bet we could get a building up the top of the hill, gee.
Not with Berks Nature, they're the other party up the top of the hill.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
so do we use the word abort?
Oh, no.
Well, I think we're no longer, dug a hole on Ava. Unless you-
It's hard, if you put your hands over it, it's gonna get.
And
Well, I was originally was like a 99-year lease for.
Oh, yeah.
for-
I mentioned, I said 20 years is not a lot. I said, because, and I said, then what happens after 20 years? They go, we'll renegotiate the lease. So now I'm seeing dollars attached.
You have no.
Yeah.
we won't be.
Yeah.
When I was in favor of that, it was a 99-year lease for like a farm, it was all, the skids were
Because
green.
that was.
Yeah.
Single glass.
So in the end, is it our intent to invite
Once 200.
the Mount Penn Public Works to consider,
There's a discussion that we don't think that Ava site's viable. We think our best option would be to move it to Lynn Avenue. And what are their thoughts?
There's.
honestly, I'm not looking for input.
No,
No, really, because if we are shouldering
Could, but
property,
not mean want.
our grant, our money, our building, our property, we're gonna open it up to you as a tenant. I don't need your thoughts on that, say yes or no.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you address
Here's your
that
rent.
to council, not
That's
the
it.
road?
That doesn't require, I
Well,
don't-
one of the guys we met with was on council.
that's like saying, well, we'd like to.
One of the guys that came was
Like this.
Council doesn't really communicate well together. I would
My problem.
address council like you did, you went
We
to
did
a
it one
meeting.
time.
Oh, yeah.
You went to a meeting, that's what I would do.
Is anybody for giving the money
That
back?
would change no matter where you go,
Yeah.
you know.
Not yet, not yet.
It'll still be above eight.
Does it seem feasible, they can, cut.
Roadmaster, it's on you. Give us a aerial plan that they can, in a couple of days, so they can take it and show them where exactly it's gonna be located, what we think we're gonna have there. This is our.
Give me the coordinates, I'll send it to them.
Would you be satisfied with Lynn?
We need
Is that
two
okay
options
with
for that.
you?
Well, the other option is parking lot.
Well, I say two options, an option, if they agree to lease part of it, it's a building like this.
Right.
If they don't, it's a building like that,
Well, yeah.
Well, you know, the extra money.
No, I think he means by the original design.
By the original design, you don't,
The first one was 60 by 80.
Well, then,
First one was 65.
then what we do with the extra money is we put a salt
Very
shed in.
first.
Oh.
I don't think we're allowed to under the
That was
grant.
the original, that's how the grant got formed, and then
I
it went to
think the
60 by
grant
80,
specified-
and then 60 by 80 was a cost
We'll have to
saving.
look again.
That's what I remember.
let's see what.
But
But
don't,
you don't need.
Don't build- well, don't build yourself out of a future agreement with Mount Penn, what I'm trying to say too. You know,
We're gonna get both grants that we applied for, we'll have to have space to store all that equipment in. Get those.
what grants were those vehicles?
We got a bigger dump truck and a skid steer, we didn't even.
We don't know. No, we made it to the first, we.
Made it through the first round, they didn't throw it back.
Now, I hope everyone doesn't make it the first round, it's like a feel good measure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyhow, let's get back to the delivery of the message.
We look forward to you guys talking to us in February.
There you go.
We're gonna tell Mount Penn we've decided to pursue, based on your attendance at that meeting, we've decided to pursue the Lynn Avenue site.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
construction of the building.
Yes.
That's where I'd like to leave that.
Yep.
At whatever point, we still are open to you as a tenant.
Yep.
Those details will be forthcoming, obviously, as we got closer to the end of construction.
And if you want to throw money around,
No, that's not for us to do.
it's
We
like
need to sit down.
gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, well, I think we don't have a good number to give them yet.
Yeah,
You know, it may not be a bad idea to ask them what they could afford, you know, budget wise. Because then that, when we get, if we can get a number like that for them, then we can look at this and go, yeah.
I don't think there's
go,
such-
no go.
Section 8 for municipal buildings.
Yeah.
well, they had a number of what they currently are spending for, and the heat and everything else in the area.
Is it out of the world?
Yeah.
So they own that building where they have their stuff now?
I believe so. Do they own the current?
Yes,
Yes,
It's very, it's kind of dilapidated, it's not.
So they can sell it off if they need the money.
Right, but they even said operating costs are so high that they'd be saving.
Money that way.
Like coming in us. Okay, well, all right.
Well, sounds like a plan.
We need to move forward because we're gonna have to ask permission to extend beyond 12/31/2024, which is technically, maybe not.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we could probably move forward on this rather quickly if we get,
Yeah.
you know, we get a warrant for the property and if, you know, Matt, we got a go, no go for Mount Penn.
I think if we get to April, we're not breaking ground.
Well, yes.
Well, you gotta remember too, wintertime building costs you more money.
Well, I'm just
You
saying,
can time it for the machines.
April, we're ready to go.
Yeah,
Can you show us the big building footprint and then smaller building footprint? Is there anything else you guys want to see? Like the apron, where an apron would be like, you know, out front parking, not too extensive.
Couldn't we have Hamlet's firm draw something up,
This is cheaper.
a site plan?
yeah.
Well,
Well, yeah, but you know, before we start spending money on, you know, let's find out first, basically, based on
Yeah.
what they're looking for. Is it feasible? And if the fact that your decision is yes, then we would want to get, you know, get some site plans.
And so I can give you at least some headings, you know.
Yeah,
A general idea of where it can lay, which orientation you want it
And to keep it without zoning,
with,
We can
that.
take that.
yeah, because that would save a lot of headaches.
it's owned public institution.
Yeah, right, that's what it's on, that's what I said.
Yeah, but I'm in setbacks and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I don't think there's an issue on setbacks in there.
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, it's still a public institution, but then that's also R4, R6, which is the most,
Restrictive.
well, no, it's the most loose restrictions
Yeah,
for buildings. So, like no setbacks on side yard,
only on the end units.
yeah.
Yeah. Commission reports, library, anything to report. Mr. Lands, anything to report.
Yeah.
Recreation, anything to report. No.
The egghunt's coming up fast.
Planning commission, no report. Zoning hearing board, no report. General comments.
No, that's coming up.
Oh, coming up, yeah.
Isn't it?
Public meetings, announcements on public meetings of St. Lawrence. Oh, sorry. Back up. Go.
You asked for more information.
Yes.
Did you get my email?
Yes. So I need some more points of clarification. So basically, the number stuck in my head was like $200 per year, and you get bona fide that you were a volunteer for the fire department. Was it more than that?
It's 200 if you're.
Non-responder or non-bunker guy? Okay. And we rebated back the most, we gave the one person was like $4,000 at 50%. So, 8,000 is a potential, but I can't do that, those interest. So let's only run out to 10,000. So 210,000 is $50 an hour. Right?
That's all right.
That's a good idea.
I'm okay with it.
Well, what I was getting at is if it was a $10,000 tax bill, and all you gotta do is put in 200 hours, you're getting $50 an hour to be part of the organization. That's what you're basically getting reimbursed. And if I was like a handicapped old person that couldn't be a fireman, I'd have to go get a job where they were paying me $70 an hour in order to get that much money. That sounds like a pretty steep amount.
Cherry pick it.
It is for any fireman, like if the fireman lives, but if they, okay, but if the fireman lives here in the borough, but runs with another
Like if
fire.
a fireman belonged to Reading Fire Department.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he would still be eligible for these hours.
I think it works that it's gotta be.
Oh, it's gotta be in
One of the companies that. It would have to be a company that covers St. Lawrence Borough.
Right.
Okay.
First, yeah.
But what if we hit?
I don't know what.
yeah.
I'll just support it.
Yeah, well, there's two. roads.
So you have to be an active member for 1 year.
Gotcha.
To be a- within-
If not, it's a course, required, must be certified firefighter
Gotcha.
or a qualified driver. Must attend at least 12 Tuesday meetings / trainings per year, or equivalent training time due to work. Must respond to a minimum of 10% of dispatch structure fires, motor vehicle with entrapment, or must do at least 24 staffing shifts per year, or document at least 200 hours of service.
So is all those cumulative or all those? Any of the above?
Oars.
Oars.
Yeah.
So the one I set it on was the 200 hours.
Okay.
Basically $200, you can get certified. So if your tax bill was $10,000, because right now the highest one's 4, I'm rounding up from 4 to 8.
Well, no, they're talking about going, the thing is, Exeter went from 50% to
Oh, this is
100%.
municipal.
Right.
Well, the real estate.
Well,
Municipal.
there's a difference, because you have to understand, Exeter does not have trash in it. They do not
Right.
have
Right,
recycling.
right.
There are fire hydrants, there's street lights,
Right.
we
A little
put
more than
everything
Into
in
that.
ours,
Right.
which includes trash and everything else, so our millage is higher
Sure, right.
than.
Right.
But that, so
Yeah.
if.
But a typical
we
resident
go
is
to-
paying.
Well, it's not even the typical resident, there is a person who responds who has a very large dollar value, one of the higher value houses in the borough, so
Okay.
it is. For a real estate taxes. Are not cheap, so you go from 50% to 100%.
Yeah.
So that,
So, but could you go 100% to a max?
Yeah. I
Could you
guess you
cherry
could.
pick?
You can do whatever you want.
Can you
Well,
cherry pick?
we, right now, we do 50%, 50% of it, council wouldn't have to go to 100% if they, if
No,
they didn't want
you could,
to.
we could make it, it's. You know, you went to your bell-shaped curve, we got bell-shaped curve of people paying taxes. Say, okay, it's now 100% of. The bid point,
Yeah.
and anything over that, we don't cover, we cover the average, 100% of the average.
What if we pulled out the trash?
Yeah,
Can we cherry pick it and break it down to the property taxes only?
Well,
the
you,
problem with that is,
you can't.
we're now we're gonna pay our borough staff more money to calculate all this stuff out. You know, I mean,
okay, how, I'm gonna be simple-minded on calculating.
No bill.
You've got, you get 720 tax bills.
726.
Thank you, I was off by. I was pretty close. You sum all those up, and you divide that number by 722, and you get $1 amount. Now, does that take a lot of man hours?
Well, no, but I was saying, I was responding to
But
like Fruit
Are
Mike's
you
thing
pulling
about
out commercial property?
chairs.
Oh,
That's what, that was, I was.
Aren't they?
Okay,
are you-
The average.
Are you taking
Okay,
the
I
722 properties, eliminating the commercial?
Yeah.
Ones?
Residential.
And are you eliminating the apartment complexes? Or are you leaving those, they're considered commercial because of the number of apartments in it,
Your
so
revenue.
now
Generating.
you actually could end up going
So,
less.
right,
Because
right,
you have,
right now, a person living in St. Lawrence Garden Apartments that serves Exeter doesn't get anything, right?
they're not going to get anything
Because they don't pay
because
rent.
they don't pay a direct
So-
property
So
tax.
I would eliminate St. Lawrence Garden Apartments. Right.
Okay, I don't have a
Yeah.
problem, I don't have a problem with that, what I'm saying is that as you pull it to just houses, if you're trying to do a straight average, or you have only a few upper end that skew on their particular, yes, I understand where you're going with it, but you may actually hit some of the others and reduce what they're getting off of.
You could go to the 2 sigma point, you could.
So what's, do you have a magic number thought? You know, top of dawn? 6,000?
I don't have the data to look at it
Yeah.
to. come
I
up
mean,
with-
Are you allowed to give us that data?
You could do anything.
But the people who've gotten rebates.
No.
No,
Can you
no,
give
it's
us-
on the whole,
Can you give us every tax bill without an address on it?
we can do better than that, we can actually have it in an Excel spreadsheet and have the taxes and separate out. It just is gonna
What
take.
that to make sense to you.
And-
100% makes sense, yeah.
Well, and if part of the issue is when is the millage rate differential, and the one solution is that you then start pulling stuff out of the millage and do it in as individual.
Can you find out what Exeter Township got the most in tax rebate last year? Half? Half? Yeah. Do you want to max whatever the max?
There's
Exeter is?
more residents next to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
And Robert.
No, I meant firemen getting reimbursed. Can you find out who, can you say, hey, the highest range that I asked around was this to this? And that will give Warren some sort of idea, like the start point, like in my opinion.
Well, I just threw that
Yeah.
as a suggestion.
That's not a bad idea.
100% up to some of that.
Yeah.
That's unfair.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Harry, I'm sorry, in St. Lawrence, how does that?
That's Apple.
Because it doesn't make any sense, except I wanted to see how much money was going out the door on their average rebate versus us. Because it sounds like we're gonna be rebating a lot more, but I don't know that.
Cause it's
I-
EBT.
So somebody is paying thousands,
I believe.
multiple thousands of dollars in
It's.
St. Lawrence.
The millage is a big difference.
No, it's not.
No, it's St. Lawrence.
Right.
I mean,
There are people that, because I know I don't pay anywhere near that much for.
No, I just see it as money out the door. You know,
Sure.
and I know what it was this year with only 4 people, and I know the highest was around $4,000. So if that was the $8,000, that's $40 an hour at 200 hours volunteering per year.
It's more than, that was 200 hours of actually fighting fires.
No, just showing up.
Just showing up.
Yeah.
It's.
200 hours of any service,
Service.
Yeah.
be it
Selling Christmas.
maintenance or training, maintenance, training, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, maintenance, training, duty shifts. Even if you don't turn a wheel, you're away from your family, you're sitting in the station, manning the apparatus.
Plus you need firefighting monuments.
Well,
No,
well, if you're a firefighter or a certified driver. So you could be a driver with Exeter Township Fire Department and not ever go into a burning building. but you're a qualified driver. What are your driver qualifications? Is that, you require, well, obviously, EVOC, well, and for. Well, right, but in terms of that, for engine operation, pump one, pump two. Yeah, and that's very similar, they do the same thing in Pen, could be qualifying apparatus, you have to pump, minimum pump one, EVOC, and then the training on the individual piece of equipment. Yeah,
But then that's.
But- I mean, I think that's. And I don't have a problem if we had to come up with a number of maximum, because I think it's unfair to the other residents of the borough that we would give 100% of the real estate taxes because our trash is in. And all the other things that Exeter doesn't have in their general business. And I don't want to just separate that out because that increases our costs.
Right.
The reason we put everything into the general millage is because they didn't have to have separate trash bills and all that.
So what number do we need to calculate? Goes into the hillbilly club. You know, like
Well,
one goes into two, two goes into three.
Well,
If we just get,
that property that we were just, property X.
Yeah,
Do you know if that person qualifies?
yeah, you did, because that's what we gave this year, to one person. The high end, what we gave this year was $4,000.
First you got $4,000. And that was half of his.
Right.
yeah,
We know that for sure.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
They issued, between his EIT and the real estate, right, it was like 4,000.
May I have a suggestion? Doesn't really matter this. What if we take the numbers of the budget and reverse engineer, like how much trash was to the budget, how much street lighting was to the budget, and what the percentages?
I think only because it becomes an argument of how,
You can't.
what you
do that
count.
It's not,
The way the state has it.
Well, I'm saying, so then that's the limit you allow for the tax credit.
the only way to limit it would be to pick a number that is less than 100 and more than 50.
Well, that's what I'm talking.
And you're not going to, this is not an equitable credit to the firefighters. So if you live in a modest home and have a modest job and you put your 200 hours in, you're getting this much. If you put your 200 hours in, have a real expensive home, yes, you're paying more taxes and you earn a lot of money, you're now getting this much for the same 200 hours that this person is getting this much. So the whole concept by the state legislature was to dump this down to the municipal level. And what really was not fair because it is not an equitable distribution.
and that's why I voted against it initially. Not because I don't feel that you know, we should help reward the people that are helping protect us. So, you know, that's not the way I felt about that. The reason was the state shoved this down the pipeline, and so they didn't have to deal with it. I'm gonna make the suggestion that I made previously, and instead of having this where we have to jump through all these different hoops, getting documentation of taxes paid, so we can rebate all these kind of things. Why don't we do like we do with the donations, give a stipend to anyone who qualifies under those rulings and give a fixed dollar amount?
We'd have to find out from Joan if we.
Oh, well, but I'm saying, so we'd like to
Because
find
there-
out if we're able to,
You mean
because
credit? You mean credit?
no,
No,
We'll
Like a
we'll
grant.
write you a check.
yeah.
Thank you for serving your community. Here's, I'll just throw a number out. Here's $500. Boom.
Was it gonna be more than 500?
Well, but I'm just, that was just an example.
Gotcha.
What I'm saying is that would be a lot less expensive on our end.
Right,
We don't have to go through all the hoops of, you know, getting all, you know, having this all to figure out all these different things and it's fair. Everybody gets the same amount.
But Allison said that the way the state drew it up, it has to be a percentage.
no, we're not gonna be in that program,
We're not gonna be in that program. We.
A volunteer, it's our volunteer.
yeah.
Right, we don't have to do this. We wouldn't have had to put the 50% in. Okay, what I'm saying is we eliminate that whole program and all the problems it causes. And make it equitable that whether you own $1 million mansion or you live in a trailer. you put your time in with the fire department, you're gonna get this amount of money.
Okay, let me just ask a couple questions on that. One, would we be then liable for 1099s to them for that amount, because it would then be considered straight income? Which I don't know right now. How do they handle the
We-
tax relief? Is that considered income?
And it's
Is it
not,
considered-
technically, it's not reported by us to anybody, but I would think that technically, the person couldn't claim the full amount on their income tax because they're getting it rebated to
Right, they
them, so.
They would only be able to claim what they actually ultimately paid.
Paid,
If they get a
right.
credit back, then that
That should be subtracted from that.
from any.
But
figure they
that's
use as a
them
deduction.
doing their taxes
right.
personally, it's not
Right.
anything.
Well, and
that
even a
we
1099 is much easier to produce, because, you know.
Well, it's
I think-
easy to produce, but then that
The
is,
state does not at this point with that fire tax do
Well,
an
I-
N99.
No, what I'm saying
we
that
could put a fire-
if
but if
we,
we didn't do what the state is prescribing,
right, if we
and just handed them a check,
I don't know.
That's on their taxes, so you can either round it up or bump it up.
but do we have a liability? Responsibility?
The person getting the money always has responsibility, just like when you go to the casino. Casino's not responsible, they only take it out once you get 10,000, I've never had that happen. And, but the point is, that's on the recipient to.
But as
Yeah.
I think it also depends on how much it is.
yeah,
I would issue 1099s to the guy that mows our lawn at the church. Once it's over $600, I send them a 1099. It's what they do with it.
Yeah,
And I send it back
That's a
to
good
the
question.
IRS.
that's a good question.
yeah, that,
I mean,
That was your other
that's
question.
and
to
again,
protect them that we
Pay it.
And that is still, it's something we have to, I think it's all depends on what we could structure and ask this, I mean, it just depends on if there's something within state law that
Right.
allows that
That we can do that
to
without-
happen.
you know, well, because at this point, I mean, Exeter Township has their incentive program.
I don't know what
you know,
happens with the incentive,
So with the incentive program, that's very similar. You get money based on your hours of participation, correct?
Mhm.
There you go.
you get a 1099 from.
Who's giving the money? The township?
It's a 1099 or something.
No, ours retirement.
It's not 1099.
And
Well, if you wanted the 1099, okay, well, there you go.
so,
Yeah.
but in this case, the rebates, because they are considered
And
rebates.
I'm
We're
just
off the
saying,
rebate.
I'm just saying, if we went down a different path, rather than having to go through all the hoops
Yeah.
with the rebates and all that, we just extra amount Penn send it to list of the peak firefighters that live in the borough that qualified, met the requirement, the minimum requirements for the year. End of the year, we send them, November meeting, we vote, we send them a check, they have that money for Christmas. I'm just throwing it out there for consideration. Because then, like Allison, it addresses the inequity that Allison brought up. And,
You think that makes
we
sense?
issue a 1099 with it, that issued a 1099 with it, and it's on them if they report it or not, but we've done our end of it. Just chew on that, just,
No,
It's not anything that would happen this year.
well, no, yeah, and then,
sorry.
Yeah, well.
Well, we'd have to get Jones.
There's-
Well, yeah,
there's-
I don't know if Joe's the right person, maybe our auditors or an accountant.
Yeah.
because
We need
it's really,
A tax person, not a.
well, it's also really no different than Exeter Township's incentive program. If you think about it. Or it's ours would be structured a little differently in that you have different levels. So there's different levels for the incentive programs. The more you do, the more you get. Yeah, so ours would be a fixed number. That council could come up with, once you meet the minimum requirement, you qualify for this amount of money.
But that incentive money, that's on top of the rebate money for the taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
So they still get those additional funds for their purchase.
I understand that, but that's because Exeter's a much bigger pool.
Sure.
Right? And it addresses the inequity by doing it our way, it addresses the inequity.
Levels the playing field a little bit.
It levels the playing field and it equally rewards a guy who can only put in 250 hours a year because of work or family obligations. You know, I mean, you could beat this situation Sunday, but ultimately, you know, if we want to say thank you to the people that are volunteering their time to help protect the borough. I just think this is easier because that they don't have, the individual doesn't have to assemble all their tax documentation, schlep it in here,
Right.
you know,
Oh, yeah.
and all that.
It's-
It just makes it so much easier.
Do you want to get back next meeting with some thoughts or deeper thoughts?
So Joe, you made a comment, it can't be done this year. Why is that?
Because the ordinance is in place. You're already,
But I mean, last year, we didn't.
last year, you would be
That's their ordinance
submitting,
for this year.
Yeah, for this
you
year.
would have to, yeah, it's all.
It would come effective 2025, is what I
I-
think you're saying.
We'd have to check with Joan to see.
So if that could be rescinded.
Yeah. if we-
Right,
yeah.
because we'd have to remove an ordinance, put something else in its place.
Or
And
Amend-
leave the ordinance go to take care of 2023. And move forward, so this year, it would be looking at. And it's really what Joan would say, what we could do or not do.
Yeah.
Ready for next time?
That was quick.
Yeah, it was fun.
It always is. Let's go to public meeting announcements. Our public meetings on January 15th and January 20th. Why did not one on the 15th? Yeah.
Those are the days that are closed for the holidays.
Hey, I would.
Martin Luther King Day and-
Yeah, but Borough Hall will not be open on January 15th and February 20th. Council and mayor reminds to submit ethics statements. I don't think we have anything to discuss in executive session. Old business discussion, motion to appoint animal control for 2024.
Right,
So originally, we had talked about using the Animal Rescue League. But somehow our numbers that we have passed budget wise were not the numbers in their agreement that they sent us.
and what ended up happening is I missed. In the flyer that I sent out to everybody that said what ARL did, they took. The people who were their full service people. And announced that they needed to change and up everybody to $7.50 a person based off the 2020 census. They were going to do an interim step. And I saw the 250 and thought that they were keeping it at 250 per year. What they did is they actually meant that if you were full service and stayed with them, they were increasing you by 33% to $3.24 per person. And if you were on the cheap plan, they were moving you to the full service and they were charging you the 250. Which isn't really fair for the people who were paying the 250 all along, but having said that, for us to go with the ARL, it would be $3.24 a person. Times 1892, which is.
61.30 and 8 cents.
And Safety Net Sanctuary, who we've used before, will provide service at $3,000.
So if you remember, like 2 years ago, Animal Rescue League came back and said, we're way underfunded, we have to increase, it was 750, and there was so much backlash that they backed down. But now they're ramping that back up, and they're still saying on that 750 number, is what they think they need. So I don't know, is it time to, go back to others at the lower cost, or is there any, affinity for the Animal Rescue League? And how much more would it cost us in our budget? What did we have in the budget for that?
We
Probably
had,
$4,000.
we had whatever we
Whatever.
spent this year was, we had,
$250 a person.
yes,
Yeah, certainly under 3,000.
yeah, it was.
So, yeah, so it was, we were essentially double our costs. to stay with the
They
animal.
really asked them how many animals, they honestly can't give us any answer, and then they just pull a number out.
Did the people from the library go over
There's the one here, we don't have
Window.
reading.
there? Is there a window over there?
And then sometimes they say they'll come out, but they don't actually, they don't say they can follow.
I can say from a dispatch standpoint, it is not impossible after hours to get a hold of an actual person through animal.
They're not gonna do anything overnight. That is already one of the services that has gone away.
Where's this other place?
$4,730 what we paid,
$4,000,
$4,730, yeah.
50% increase. If you stay with animals.
And 1,800 times 250 is, 4,600.
What we did, 1892 times 250, it was $40,730. That's what we paid in 23 to the ARL.
And now you want what?
Now they want, $324 a person for 1 year, and that would be $6,130 with the intention to going to $750.
Well,
The following
So
year.
it's $1,400.
Plus,
Yeah, plus then the following year it goes to $750 a person.
Safety Net Sanctuary, they do good work, not quite as sophisticated of a operation as the ARL. For the number of, we're not gonna be dropping somebody off at midnight on an animal call. I think I don't know whether the police actually do anything in the middle of the night with an animal.
I have a few extra animal cages, we'll just leave them in the new garage until they pick them up.
I think that's the police, the.
I love the six days.
Police officer will transport to safety net overnight. I've seen it.
So they have a drop off kennel 24 hours. ARL does not.
No, ARL will not.
I think the first time ARL had this debacle, a lot of townships, their police departments actually put their own kennels in.
Yes. Yep.
Until who picked them up then?
Well,
Until they were able to get an officer to go.
Oh.
during the day,
During the day.
daytime.
Gotcha, and overnight,
The
overnight
safety net
housing.
isn't clear.
Yes.
I think given the fact
Well,
that they're looking at
plus-
750, I think you ought to stop the bleeding and go to the other. Safety.
thoughts,
I'll
motion,
make a motion, we appoint safety net sanctuary at $3,000 a year for 2024 animal control.
I'll second that.
motion moved and seconded, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passed, animal control under.
There you go.
New business, motion to approve resolution 888-2024, the borough fee schedule.
Yeah, it's all the professional fees, and we updated our fee schedule. We do not have the whole fee schedule in there. We just have the resolution to sign it. The cost, it's the hourly rate for truck and everything else like that.
So in general, engineering and lawyers give us the fees in December, knowing that we're gonna have to approve them for the following year for review and things like that.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 888-2024, adopting the borough fee schedule.
The motion been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution 888-2024, the borough fee schedule. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion passes. Then we need a motion to approve resolution 889-2024 to reappoint Dorothy Jurazinski to the zoning hearing board.
Make that a motion.
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded to approve resolution 889-2024 to reappoint Dorothy J to the zoning hearing board. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion passes. Any other business, any other comments? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion passes.
You guys have a lot of paperwork to sign, all the bank stuff.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Okay.
Is that-
Yeah.